Yep. So in today's class, what we are going to see is that how to attach a database, how to detach a database, and how to write a query. Before writing a query, what we need to check, okay? And after writing a query, if we get any error, how to resolve error, and where we can see that like error description, error code description, okay? So now, whenever I open the management studio, the first thing I'll get, this is a basic first screen where it will ask me the server type. By default, don't worry about the analysis services, reporting, integration. We only worry about the database engine. That's it. And after selecting the database engine, we'll connect the server name here. Now we are connecting to the SQL Server 2016, which I have installed. So this is the server name. I have given the server name. Done. Next, at the bottom, you can see Windows authentication and SQL Server authentication. What is Windows authentication? What is SQL Server authentication? Okay. First, Windows authentication. In the Windows authentication, what is the advantage is, first thing, so let's say I'll connect to the server now. Okay, I'll open another window now. To this server, there is a security. If my user is added to the login, and if I was given some access for accessing the database, then only I'll be able to log in Windows. Okay. Currently, Windows authentication means my user ID should be given access to this database. Then only I will be able to access. Everyone is clear? Windows means based on the Windows. So since I am logging, it will take my Windows ID, and here it will check whether my Windows ID have access to the database or not. If it is yes, then I will be able to log in. If not, then it will throw an error saying that you don't have access. That is a Windows authentication. By default, it will take. If you have access to the database, by default, when you do the Windows authentication, at the back end, it will take care. And once you click OK, automatically you will be able to log in into the database. What is a SQL Server authentication, and when do you need the SQL Server authentication? So there might be a scenario where, okay, basically, so let's say there are like 100 people who are working on the testing. Okay, they are testers. They are 100 testers in a company. Assume that there are 100 testers in a company. 100 people are testing some applications. So what they want is that since they are testing 100 people, and it's only for temporary purpose. 100 people are testing. They are testing some applications for temporary purpose. That's it. Once the application is tested, they should not be having access to a database again. So what they do, on the database, they'll create one login here. Okay, under the security itself, you'll have one called logins. Right click and they'll create a new login with some user ID. Okay, they'll create new login test. That's it. They'll create a new login test. They'll give 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. That's it. They'll give this and just click OK. Automatically that login will be created here. That login, test login will be created. Now when I try to connect it, instead of, since that 100 people user ID is not been added to this, just will share only this user ID and password to them. That's it. Okay, and click connect. Yeah, I think I had to give some additional access because I have given only the basic access. Okay, so now I'll click on the test. Since I don't have access, it is throwing an error saying that I don't have anything. Server roles, I'll give sysadmin for time being. User mapping is the databases which I had to give. I'll give master. Yeah, username is this one. Okay. Yep. I'll give access to all the databases for time being. Now, when I try to connect it, I'll just select the SQL Server authentication test. 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. That's it. This is a way how I'll connect by using the user ID. Okay. I think I had to restart the services. Okay, that's it. Nothing to worry. So this is the way how you are going to use the Windows SQL Server authentication. Everyone is clear with this? Hello?
Yeah.
So whenever you try to connect the SQL server, you will have two authentication modes. Sorry. One is the Windows authentication, other is the SQL Server authentication. Most probably Windows authentication means if they want to give on based on your, whenever you join in a company, you will get some Windows ID. Okay, that ID will be given access to the database, so you will be easy, you will be able to connect it directly by using this. But if you don't have, they'll just create one login ID and they'll share the login ID and password with you. Then you can connect that one. The best example is that if there are 100 people who wants to access the system for temporary purpose, there is no use of adding 100 people list to the group, right? There is no need for you to give access to 100 people separately, each and every one, add each user ID and give access to this to the server. It's waste. When you want to remove, it's a tough thing, right? You have to remove each and every user. Just create one login ID for 100 people and share the user ID and password. That's it. Automatically, whichever user wants to do that, they will use that user ID and password and they'll log in. They'll whatever testing they want, they will test it, and that's it done. Once they say everything is done, you can directly remove that user ID. It will be removed. Okay.
Okay.
So that's between the Windows authentication, SQL Server authentication. And next thing, once I connect, I can see all the databases and everything is fine. Very good. So in the databases, these are the default databases I got. These are the databases which I got when I installed the SQL Server 2016. Right? When I install the reporting server, automatically two databases has been created for the reporting server. Okay. Now, what I want to add a test database here. I want to add one database for this practice purpose. I want to add one database for the practice purpose. So in order for me to practice, because I can't do anything on this, I should not do anything on this, I should not do anything on this. So in order for me to practice one database, what I'll do, I'll right click the database and new database. I said I'm going to show you the example there. As a model, there's a one database called model database, right? That's where it is tied up to. When I create a new database, automatically I'll get this one, where I'll get the logical name. This is the file group. Automatically a file group will be created on the database. Automatically a file group will be created. So I'll go to the C drive, program files, Microsoft SQL Server, and then mine is a 2016, right? 2016. Okay, I think it's SSAS. Okay, SQL Server 2016. Then MSQL. Okay, data. This is where I will be having access to the folder. This is where I will be seeing all my databases. Currently, this database when I create, automatically two files will be created. One with the normal file name as it is. Other is a file name with the extension of log. Okay, I'll create one file will be as it is. Other file will be extension of log. This is for the log file. So now you can observe here as default properties here. What is initial size is 8 MB. This is 8 MB. And next auto growth. If my database size get increased, I am giving auto growth by 64 MB. Automatically it will grow by 64 MB again. And again if I use again that 64 MB also, then automatically 64 MB will be added to it again and again. And that memory from where I'll be added, it will be adding from my system. I got the disk space, right? If you see my C drive, I got the disk space here, like 330 GB left and 24.8 GB left. So since I'm using this space, that 120 whatever the 64 MB I got, that MB will be used from this 330 GB. Okay, so now this is by default. See, I got it. At the same time, how I got the 64 is I'm clicking cancel. Whatever the size properties you got in the model. Okay, when I click the model database, I got some properties. By default size is 8. If I go to the files, I can see 8 and extended by 64. That's the reason I can see the same there. Instead of 8, if I give 100, okay, 100 MB, I only change 100 MB. That's it. Now if I try to create a new database, automatically the new database will also have the properties of 100. See here. Got my point? 100. Hello? Everyone got my point?
Yes.
So this is nothing but model is nothing but it stores the properties of a database, default properties. Whenever you try to create a database, automatically the default properties will be applied to this. What are the properties you got on the model database? The same properties will be applied to the database by default. Now I'll create here the database called SQL class. This is a database I'll be creating. Okay. See, when I create the class SQL class, automatically two files will be created here. See, I got one file, other file with the log. So you can see they were created now to 9:23, 5:23 and 5:23 at 9:02 p.m. Okay. So I got my database created, SQL class. Now, how do I access a database? How do I write a queries and how do I access a database? So when I open the database, by default, all the databases will have the database diagram. Nothing to worry about it. We'll never work on. Okay, it's just like a model kind of structure, but I'll explain you a little bit idea on that. Okay, I'll explain a little bit, not in depth, and it hardly takes 5 to 10 minutes to explain it. So next is the tables. What are the tables I'll be having on the database? All the tables will be stored under the tables folder. See, okay, views. Whatever the views I have, everything will be stored here. I'll explain you what is meant by view, how to create a view. I'll explain you what is a table and how to create a table. Okay. Next, synonyms will not work much. It's not that important and no one will use that. Synonym is nothing but you can. I'll cover it when you go to the constraints. Okay. There I'll cover them. Next, programmability. Under the programmability, you will have stored procedures, functions, and everything. Stored process, this is also one type of stuff we are going to learn later on. So we are going to learn each and everything. Functions, there are three types. We are going to learn these three: table valued, scalar valued, and aggregate functions. We are going to learn them. And after that, you got different rules, you got defaults and everything. Okay, we are going to learn them. And this sequence is a new feature in 2012. We are going to learn them one by one. So every feature has its own role. So you can see the security. Security we are going to learn right away, nothing to worry. So these are the object. There are different types of objects. Each object will have its own properties. See, now when I'll just create a table this way, not by using command. I'll just right click and click a new table. It will ask me. Okay. So because this is management storage 2014 and the SQL Server 2016, it says that I cannot use that new create command. So what I'll do, I'll just write some create table structure and I'll show it to you. So if I want to create a new table, what I'll be doing, I'll select the database. In which database I want to create a table? I want to create a table on SQL class. So I'll create a table, select the table SQL class, like database SQL class, and click new query. When I click new query, I'll get a window. Okay. So in this, I'll write just create table. I'll write table name as test, and I'll give two column, only one column, ID as integer. Automatically test table will be created. Okay. Now see, the table will not be showing here. I have to refresh it. Once I refresh, then I can see the test table. Now when I expand the test table, here what you will be, here you can see many things. Keys, we are going to learn. Constraints, we are going to learn. Triggers, we are going to learn. Indexes, we are going to learn. These are again 4 subtopics that are related to only the table. Constraints, triggers and indexes, okay, and statistics. This all we are going to learn. Now when I want to run some query, what I did, I selected the SQL class database and I opened it. I clicked a new query here. When I click new query, a window appeared, and in the window I have written the query done. Now see, you can observe few things. You can see on the left side corner, you can see SQL class. That is nothing but the database to which I have connected. Because see, if I have other window, this window is not connected to the SQL. By default, it is connected to the master database. In the system, you got a master, right? It is connected to a master. Whatever query you run, that query will be running in the master database. Okay. But this one, I explicitly, previous one, I selected the server and clicked the new query. Okay. This one, I selected the server and clicked the new query. So automatically by default, it was opened by connecting to the master database. But this one, I explicitly connect to the SQL server and then clicked connect, clicked the new query. So automatically it got connected to the SQL class database by default. Now here the one which we open now, in this query it is connected to the master. If I want to connect to the SQL class, I have two ways. I can click here, click on the SQL class, it will be connected, or else let the master be as it is. I can use okay, SQL class. I'll give the use and SQL class database name, and I'll select the entire query and click execute. When I do that, see, automatically it got changed to SQL class. Okay? Hello?
Yep.
I'm closing this. So now the other one I would like to show it to you. In this window, at the bottommost right side, you can see this is a option. If I execute any other command, it will show whether this is a message box where you will get whether that command got successfully executed or not. If I try to execute the same, it will throw an error because I have already created a table, so it will not allow me to create another table with the same name again. So this is the error. When I got the error, you can see message query completed with errors. So this is a output box. And right side you can see here Virat. This is my server name which I have connected. This is a server name which I have connected. Okay, sometimes you will not be able to see this. There might be multiple servers open. I can connect to multiple servers in the window. Okay, I can connect multiple servers. I have connected to a different server, but I don't know which window, I don't know which this window is related to which server. I have two servers, right? I don't know to which server this window is related. I don't know. And sometimes you might not have the server, but you will be able to, you will be connecting to a different server. You will not have this server listed, but you will be able to connect to the different server, like change connection. Change connection. I'll give the server name. That's it, done. Automatically I'll be connected to the different server. So how you can know which server you are connected is at the bottom you can see the server name, which user ID you connected to, and you can also see the database name here. You can also see the database name. Okay, now if I select here SQL class, automatically see it got changed to SQL class. Okay, these are the basic rules how to connect the database, how to see which database you are connected and which server you are connected. Everything you can see at the bottom. And if I run any query here, okay, because in this database also you got the SQL server. Okay, so I think not in this, the other database also you got the SQL server. That's the reason it didn't throw any error. Okay, this database also has a SQL server class, SQL class. That's the reason it didn't throw any error. Okay, now if I select any table from there, what is the table name I want to select? Do I have any tables here? Okay, I got table called address. Now I'll select an address. When I select the table name, I'll get the output of the table name here, and then you can see the number of records rejected here at the last. 3 records. This is the number of records displayed here. Okay, it will show the record count here. At the same time, it will also show how much time does it take to run the query. This is nothing but the time taken for running the query. So everyone is clear with this? So basic things. Okay. Now, what I like to show is that you might be. I'll connect with the other version. Okay. So generally, the database which you have created will not have that much information. It will not have much information for you. It will not have much information means you will not be having any tables. Okay, everything it's empty. Only the database structure. Database you can see, but it will not have any tables. It will not have any objects. But if you want to practice anything, if you want to for practice purpose, if you want some data, then Microsoft has created some tables. Okay, give me 1 minute. Srikanth called. Okay. Yes, Srikanth, I have joined conference room again.
I'm not able to hear your voice.
Can you hear it now?
Now I can.
So where up to what point you are able to hear?
I mean, I can see your display in my desktop, but I'm not able to hear your voice in my desktop.
No, up to what point you heard my voice?
before that entering in the queries that without SQL Server 2014.
Which one? Okay.
Just few minutes back, sir.
So we have covered the authenticity. So Windows authentication, SQL Server authentication, you are good with that, right?
Yeah.
So after that, I have explained you how to create a new database. Okay. After that, I have explained you how to connect to your database. If you want to run some queries, you need to connect to a database. So in order to do that, I'll just click server name and click a new query. Automatically, I'll get a window. This is a place where you are going to write all the queries. Okay. So in this place, when I select the query, automatically sometimes some other database will be selected. If you run this query, that query will execute on this database. This is the system databases. By default, you will have the system databases get selected, but you should never have the system databases get selected. Okay. And you should never create any task, anything on the system databases, because they are system databases. It might get corrupted if we do anything wrong on that. That's the reason never create anything on the system database. So for further purpose, in order to connect to the other database, I'll click here and select the database. Automatically that will be connected to the other database. Or else other thing is that I'll just give the use database name and go. Automatically that will be connecting me to the database. Okay, that's the other way how I can connect to the database where I want to run the queries. This is it. And at the same time, at the bottom you can see, so let's say at the left side you don't have any server, but you have the window open. You want to see which server this window you are connected to. At the bottom, right side bottom, okay, you can see here that you can see the first one is a server name, next one is a username, which user you are logged in, and next is a database name. And this is, if you run any queries, it will show how much time does it take for running that query. And this is for the number of records you got output by running that query. Okay, it will give the output record count. So that's all you are going to learn when you go one by one. Okay, these are the basic things. Are you clear up to here, Srikant?
Yes, sir. I'm fine.
Okay, so now what I would like to do is that, so whatever you go and you create one database, that's it, fine, we are good. But after creating a database, the database will not have anything. It will not have any data. It will not have any tables. It's empty because you created only the database. You didn't create the tables and everything. So for that purpose, what happened? Microsoft DreamSpark, right? Microsoft DreamSpark has provided one feature where you can, sorry, not DreamSpark, sorry, I have a complete event. There is a Codeplex where you can download the sample version of the database. Just search Google, okay? Microsoft AdventureWorks. I'll write AdventureWorks database. AdventureWorks. AdventureWorks 2016. I don't know whether they released 2016. Okay, they are released here. When I click this, automatically I'll be getting one window. Okay, click on that. So you got a MSDB blog also. Click on it. Automatically it will take you to some point where you'll have access to download it. See, I got the sample database. I'll click it. Yeah, it's taking some time. I'm not sure. Yeah, I don't know. Yeah, it's taking a different link. So just we'll go with the other thing. Easy way is just SQL Server 2016, right? I think that's the reason it might not be taking you to a different. Okay. Tax. I think we got some conversation here. Okay, I'll search for the SQL Server 2014. That will be easy. You'll be able to get it directly. 2014. So now I'll go to the Microsoft prod samples. Automatically my AdventureWorks database will be downloaded here. Okay, automatically it will be downloaded. So now I have downloaded the file. So once I have downloaded the file, what will happen? The file will have some. It will. It is so you can see only the zip file, right? When I open the zip file,
Yeah.
now I can see adventures.backup. This is a backup file. .bak means backup. It's always a backup file. Okay. So now if I want to backup that file, what I will be doing? It is a .bak. Whenever you see .bak, it's a backup file. So what I'll do? I'll right click on that. I'll click here restore database. Restore. Since it is a backup, you have to restore it. Okay. Then, so before going to that, what I'll do? I'll click on this downloads. Give me 1 minute. I'll keep my power plugin. Okay. So I'll go here. Extract all. I'll get my stuff backup one. Okay. Now I got the backup path. So I'll click on the folder. It's asking my device. It's not a database. I'm capturing from a device. Click on this. Click on this. Add. So where it is? It is in the download. Always I'll be having an issue with this. So I'll just copy to the C drive from the downloads. Copy. I'll copy in the D drive. Open. I'll just copy in the D drive as it is. Done. Now I'll click on this. Go to the D drive. Now I'll be able to see that file and click OK. Okay. Once I got it, now I got it right. Click OK. Then automatically, since I have given the path, automatically it will be done. When I click on this, the database will be added to my system. Automatically it will be backed up. This is a backup when you have the .bak file. Okay, it's a backup. Whenever you have the file this format, okay, that is nothing. BAK means backup file. So you should always do the restore. Click on the database. Automatically see, now I can see in the database here. If I refresh it, okay, I can see the database. So how you will be doing is that right click on the database and click the restore. That is for the backup. Okay. Sometimes what they do, instead of giving the backups, they'll just give you the normal file. They'll just give you the normal file. Normal file means only a data file. They will be giving only the data file like this. This is the only file they will be giving, not the backup. They will give the file with the extension. If I open this and see, the extension will be .mdf. This is the file they will be giving. Okay. Whenever they give the file that way. So what I am going to do, this SQL class, right? There is no use. I'll just detach it. Okay. Detach. So it will be removed. Good. I am good. Okay. The database is removed now. I will not be having any database here with the SQL class. So what I will do, here if you see the file, I can see only the SQL class database. I'll just remove the log also. I don't want the log. Sometimes they'll just give you the only the, okay. Oh, it is SQL. Oh, sorry. It's 2016. So that's the reason I'm unable to delete it. Because 2016, it's already being used, right? So it didn't detach. So that's the reason I'm unable to do it. I have to connect to the SQL Server 2014. That is SQL Server. This is where I have deleted the log file for MS SQL Server. So data, SQL class. See, I can delete the SQL because the database is not being used. Now, what I will do, this is a SQL class. When I do this, is a MDF file. When you have the MDF file, then you can see the extension as MDF. Okay. When I click, when I keep my arrow, it's not showing any extension. Yeah, this is the MDF file. Okay. So what I'll do, for this MDF file, if I want to add it, I'll right click on the database, click attach. This is for the MDF. Just I'll click add. When I click add, it will ask me the SQL class. This is SQL Server, this is one, right? So this is one which I am using. Yes. Okay. So in this I got MS SQL, then I got data. This is the way you got the SQL Server class folder. So I'll just check it and click OK. So when I click OK, automatically by default this is what it will be created. The system will create as it is by default. Now I click OK. I'll get an error. Why? Because I don't have the log file. I don't have any log file. I have only the data file, that is .mdf. I have only data file, that is .mdf. I don't have log file because log file I have already created. Log file is for only temporary purpose, right? So no one uses a log file. Okay, I'm going to explain to you what is meant by log file and what is MDF. So log file is only for the temporary purpose and no one uses a log file. Okay, no one uses means it's waste. If it's only for temporary purpose for the system. Okay, it will be useful for the backup and other thing, but now I don't want the log file, so I delete it. I have only the MDF file. But system by default, it will also assume that log file is there. The system will assume by default, thinking that the log file is there. So that's the reason it will automatically create a path for the log file by default. When I click OK, it will throw an error saying that it is not found because I already deleted the log file, so you can't have the log file there. So what I'll do, select the log and remove it. I'll just remove the log file. Now here you can see there is no log file for the SQL class. But when I create it OK, now it will not throw any error. Now you can see a log file is created again. Again the log file is created here. Got my point? Hello?
Yes.
So what we have learned so far, we have learned how to connect the SQL Server. What is the access mode? That is a Windows authentication and SQL Server authentication. Okay. So we have learned about the Windows authentication and SQL Server authentication. After that, I have explained you how to connect to a new query. If you want to write any query, you need to connect to the query, where it will show which server you are connected, which database you are connected, okay, and which user ID you are connected by. And then at the same time, if you want to change that, by default, when you open the query, it will connect to some different databases. If you select a database particularly, it will connect to that database. If you select the database and click new query, by default it will be get connected to the database. If I don't select it, if I select the server, by default it will connect to the whatever the default database has been given, it will connect to the database. If you want to change the database, you can click here and change database, or else you can use command, use database name and go. Okay, this is way how you can connect to a database separately. This is the other way of connecting a database. Okay, and after that I have shown you how to connect a new database. If you get the .mdf file, if you get a backup file, how to attach that backup file to a database, because this is a server. Even though if you have a file on the server, you will not be able to read that file. You can only read that file when you attach that file to the server. You need to attach the database to the server, then only you will be able to read that database. If not, you will not be able to read the database. Okay, so you have to attach the data, you have to add the database file to the server, then only you will be able to access the database. So everyone is clear up to this? Hello?
Yes.
Now we'll go with the data, we'll go with the database file. Since we are in the database only, we'll go with the database file. When I click on the database and properties, any database and properties, you can see two files. In the files, you can see two files. One is, this file will be mdf.mdf, master data file. This will be ndf. ndf means they will say secondary data file. Sorry, other is a secondary, and this is a log file, ldf. The first one is .mdf, second one is .ldf. Okay, so I'll explain you what is meant by each file. Okay, yep. So I'll always symbol the database with this. Okay, this is the symbol of the database. So always a database will have two files by default. A file with .mdf extension Other file is .ldf. MDF is master data file. LDF is log data file. Okay, MDF is master data file. LDF is log data file. So here, whatever, if you create any table, okay, if you create any table, you create any view, or if you create anything on the database, everything will be stored in the master. This file will have all the data that you store in the database. Okay, whatever data you stored, that will be stored in MDF. So now I'll have, for each database I got two files. For SQL class I got SQL class, other guy I got a SQL class log. Now you can see SQL class is it is a MDF extension. I can't see the extension, but it's a MDF extension. Okay, yeah, you can see now it here, .mdf extension. Okay, MDF means master data file. That's where the data is being stored. That's the place where data is being stored. And what is meant by LDF then? Oh, I think all are disconnected. Give me 1 minute. Hala, where did you miss that connection?
Oh no, I just got disconnected.
Okay, no problem. Okay.
About the master data file.
Okay, so master data file will have all the data that you have created. Anything if you insert any data into table, the backend, that data is being stored in the master data file. This is the backbone. This is the way the data is being stored. What is a LDF? LDF is nothing but it's a kind of a temporary space. Okay, whatever stuff you do in the master database, that will be logged in the LDF, as it is say log data file. So in the apartments, or when you go to the company, they will be having one log book. What does the log book say? It will say if any guest came, that entry will be made in the log book, right? If someone came, that entry will be made in the log book. The same way here too, this LDF will have whatever the steps or whatever the SQL queries you run, or whatever the properties you do on the MDF, everything will be logged in the LDF. Sorry. Okay, all the information will be logged in the LDF. This is only used for the logging purpose. We'll learn about the logging purpose when we go in depth. Got my point? Hello? So this is a master data file and this is a log data file. And now comes the other one. So you see, if you have a dictionary with 100 pages, there are 100 pages in a book, not the dictionary. Let's assume there is a book with 100 pages. If you want to search some chapter in that 100 pages, it will take some time. When you see if it is 1000 pages, if you want to search certain chapter, still it is going to take some time, but it will be more than this time. Compared to 100 pages, 1000 pages will take more time to search some chapter. Assume if you have some million pages, not million, 100,000 pages. It will take more time to search the chapter, right? If you want to search some chapter, it will take more time for you. So now the issue is that as the size grows, it will be difficult for you to search some data. And if you want to add any chapter to this 100,000 pages, it will be very hard. You have to check that chapter, which chapter you need to add, you need to remove that pages, and again it will be difficult and it will be hard to maintain also, because 100,000 means the space is small. It will be very hard to create a book with 100,000 pages, right? There will be many other issues too. So the same thing with the MDF file too. When you have more data in place, it will be very hard for you to search the particular. It will be very slow. You can do other operations, but what are the operations you want, you can do it, but it will be very slow. So that's the reason what they do. Apart from the MDF, you can add one more file for storing the data. Okay, you can add one more file, but that file will have the extension of .mdf. It will have the extension of .ndf by default. Okay, so .ndf means it is a secondary file. So MDF is master, NDF is secondary, and LDF is log. So master means whatever the data you want to split from the master, you will explicitly say that you will explicitly make the data move to the MDF. You have to write some queries to move the data to the NDF. That's it. So since you are storing the data, splitting the data into multiple files, it will be easy. So 10,000, 100,000 pages, or just we'll go with the 100,000 pages. Since 1,000 pages, if you split the pages into 250 pages into one book, then it is easy compared to 1,000 pages, right? The same way, if the master file has more data, it's better to split them into the other files, so that it will be easy for you whenever you write some operations against the master file. It will be taking less time, so performance will be more. Are you able to get my point? So this is regarding the master. So there are three file groups, that is MDF, LDF, NDF. Sorry, yeah, I'll go with one by MDF, LDF. And when you have more data in the MDF, then you'll create one more file called NDF. How to create the file is easy. Just I'll go it here. This is a file group. Add a file group. I'll add it. Automatically a file group will be created. I'll let it as SQL class secondary. See, when I click this file, SQL class secondary, automatically a file with SQL class secondary will be created. Yeah, see. Okay. When I click this and see the properties, now I'll see the extension as NDF, not MDF. By default, it will create as NDF. Okay. So it doesn't mean that there is always you need to get a MDF. You can give any file. If you give for MDF, if you give LDF also, it works. It is not an issue. But what happened? The server has given some standards. Whenever you try to add a new database, right? Here, attach a database, it will only detect the MDF files. It will not detect the LDF files. When I open this, I can clearly see only MDF. I can't see NDF, right? I can see only MDF. That's the reason you should always follow the standard. For master, it will be MDF. For the sub, NDF. For the logging, it will be LDF. By default, system will take. So you should not change any of the extensions. Okay? So everyone is clear with these file groups?
Yes, a question.
Yeah, please, go ahead.
What does the N stand for in NDF?
N?
What does the N stand for?
M, the first one. MDF means master.
Oh, no, the other one, NDF.
NDF means secondary.
Okay.
N stands for secondary data file. That's what we generally. N means number. You can have N numbers, 1, 2, 3, 4. You can have anything, N number of files. So generally they'll say data file. So N number of files, so you'll call it as a secondary data file. Okay? So this is regarding the files. And now we have covered all the basic features that we need for the class, the basic things. Okay? So now I'll just cover the basic SQL. What needs to, I need to cover some other steps too here. So if you can see the database, you can see the properties at so in the server level, you can see the security. And on the database level, when you open each database, you can see a folder called security. Okay. So you can give security at the two level. If you want to give the security for multiple databases, just you can click on the user, you can add the user ID here. And just click on the user ID. Okay, and on this particular user ID, go to the let's say this is my user ID. Go to the user mapping, and whichever database you want to give access, you can just directly give access here itself. You will have all the databases that were there on the server. So you can see all the server databases. You can explicitly give to only certain databases here. If you want to give the security. And let's say if you want to give only to one database and you don't want to add the security here, just go to the database. On the particular database, go to the security and add that username. So automatically that will be only applicable to this database itself. Are you clear with this? Hello? Hello? Yep. Yep. So you'll have the SQL Server schedule. So this is what we'll be having. We'll cover each and every topic one by one. SQL Server introduction, RDBMS we covered. How to connect to the SQL Server, attach sample database we covered. Acid properties we are going to cover tomorrow in depth. Okay. And acid properties and DDL, DML, DCL, that will be done by tomorrow. After that, I'll give a test. Okay. So once this is done, then we'll go and see the data types. Data types and system defined functions, it will take one day. And after that, we'll check the availability. Sometimes we'll cover one topic in 30 minutes and we'll spend the other time with the other topic. Okay, we will plan accordingly, nothing to worry. So this is one that we'll be having, and you can ask Khaja and he'll be sharing the schedule with you guys. Okay?
Can you, hello?
Yeah, please.
Can you email this requirement?
Yeah, can you please send your email IDs to in the WhatsApp group? Okay?
Sure.
Then I'll share the details. So here what we'll have is that we'll have the T-SQL class. First we'll have the T-SQL class. So you can see in each and every T-SQL class you have test. Once we are done with certain topics, we'll have a test. Okay? And once we are done with everything, then we'll have the final test, and after that we'll also cover the interview questions. And after this, once you are done with this, then we'll have the SSIS introduction. SSIS. This is for SSIS. We'll be covering each and every topic. Okay. Once we are done with the SSIS, then we'll go with the SSRS, that is the SQL Server Reporting Services. Once we are done with this, then we'll go with the SSAS. SSAS, where you'll have all these features one by one. And one more important thing is that you have to do my assignment. That is, there is no excuse in that. Okay. And I will be giving a ranking based on your assignment. Once the class is done, based on your performance and everything, I'll be since I haven't asked any questions to you. But from tomorrow, once I'm done with tomorrow class, then every day I'll be asking questions to you guys. Okay? One by one. By name, I'll be asking questions to you. So basically what you all guys can do is that, so this is how the structure will be. First we'll cover the T-SQL. Next we'll have the SSIS. Next we'll have the SSRS. Next we'll have the SSAS. So out of this, T-SQL is a basic for everything. For all the three, you need the T-SQL as a basic. And out of this, SSRS is easiest, SSIS is okay, SSAS is toughest. You can only do the SSIS. Frankly speaking, I'll cover all the scenarios, nothing to worry. But SSAS, you should be very good. You should be like only when you are good with entire data warehouse concepts, then only you will be able to do the SSAS, not now. Okay? Hello?
Yeah.
Yeah. So So this is what we'll be covering from tomorrow onwards. So now what I'll be giving a brief introduction. So generally what we do, whenever you want to write anything, so I have created some table, right? I'll write create table. Create table test. And this is I want to connect to the SQL class database. I'll create to the SQL class database. Done. I'm good. Okay, I'll create some ID as integer. Done. I'll execute this, it will be done because the table is already there, so it will not allow me to. That's the reason it's throwing an error. Okay. Now if I want to remove the table, I'll just write drop. How do you know you need to use the drop command? Now the table will be dropped. The table will not be there now. Okay. So this all categories. Okay, for doing any operation on the SQL server, you will have some default syntax for syntax. Syntax is nothing but it's a structure, is a basic SQL structure that you need to follow for writing any query. Okay, so here what are the types of queries we are going to write and how we need to write them, that all we are going to learn in tomorrow's class. So so I'll just give an overview what we have covered so far today. The first thing we covered in today's class is authentication mode. Authentication modes. And next one, how to connect a SQL query. How to write a query. query and connect to a database. Particular database. Okay. Next, I have shown you what are the different types of data files: MDF, LDF, NDF. Then next, I have shown you how to upload a .bak file, how to upload .mdf file. Okay, this one is being done by restore. You have to go to the click on the database, okay, and click restore database and restore. Then automatically you will be getting that. Okay, and how to attach a database? Go to here, attach a database. Automatically, that is, if you have the MDF file, then use the attach. This is restore. This is attach. Okay. Then next, security. Security means just it's normal thing. It's a server level and the database level. Okay. And then we have seen the schedule. Okay, that's the topic that we have covered today. So if you have any questions on them, let me know. I'll explain you now. Hello?
Yeah.
So everyone is good with this?
I have a question. When we're gonna learn the SSIS and the SSRs, are we gonna be using the SQL Server, or is that just for the databases?
No, when you install the SQL Server, you will be installing the SSIS, SSRS too. You already installed them along with the tools that you have installed.
Okay, because what happened was I was able to connect the database engine and the analysis services.
No, there is a separate there is a separate concept called data tools. Okay, when you click on the data tools, okay, it will ask you, it will have all the stuff there, like you'll have the SSRS, SSAS, and everything you can create here. Okay, when I select the new project here,
it's not the management studio.
it's not the management. See, I clearly said management studio is only the user interface for T-SQL, for writing a T-SQL and to connect to a database.
Okay.
See, this is the way you will be using all the, in the data tools, you will be creating SSA packages, reporting reports, and analysis services cubes. Everything you will be creating here on the Visual Studio. That is nothing but the data tools.